it's gonna come back to fill it with that, but it's pretty funny because it just keeps coming around. So I emailed him,
I'd like to call the Muskegon City Commission Meeting for April 10th, 2012 to order. I'd like to welcome George Monroe, Elder George Monroe for Evanston Baptist Church, Evanston Avenue Baptist Church, to lead us in prayer to be followed by the pledge. Elder?
Shall we pray? Our dear Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for the privilege, Lord, that we can gather here, Lord. We thank you for our mayor and our manager and our commissioners too, Lord, that you'd undertake for them and protect them at all times, Lord. Now continue to watch over us, Lord, and fear these decisions that have to be made, Lord, that they might be the right decisions. I give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Elder. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Gallren?
Here.
Commissioner Waringo? Here. Commissioner Turnquist?
Here.
Mayor Warmington?
Here.
Commissioner Hood?
Here.
Commissioner Spataro?
Here.
Commissioner German?
Here.
May we have the consent agenda read, please?
Request to fly the Norwegian flag, approval of minutes, City Clerk, summary request. To approve minutes of the March 27th City Commission meeting. Staff recommendation, approval of the minutes. Request to fly the Norwegian flag, City Clerk, summary request. Sons of Norway are requesting permission to fly the Norwegian flag at City Hall on Thursday, May 17th in honor of Norway's Constitution Day, Independence Day. Staff recommendation, approval of the request. Memorandum of Understanding, Justice Assistance Grant, Public Safety. Summary request. The Director of Public Safety requests that the Commission authorize the Director and the City Manager to enter into an agreement with the City of Muskegon Heights and Muskegon County in regards to the disbursement of the fiscal year 2012 Justice Assistant Grant. It further requests that the Mayor be authorized to sign the Memorandum of Understanding. Note that time is of the essence, and this grant requires the 30-day governing body review period before the grant submission, and the grant deadline is May 14th. Although the Bureau of Justice Assistance has designated us as being in a disparate funding situation due to the county providing more than 50% of the jail facilities, our proposal is to keep the allocations exactly as they initially came down from the BJA, which is as follows. County of Muskegon, 0. City of Muskegon, $28,513, and City of Muskegon Heights, $17,561. Note that BJA uses crime data versus population in making these allocation decisions. The City of Muskegon portion is planned to be used in continuation of the manner in which the previous year's JAG funding was used, which is for the prosecution of city ordinances cases dealing primarily with neighborhood issues. A prosecutor was hired specifically for this under a provision fiscal year JAG grant. Staff recommendation, approval of this request. Great Lakes ComNet Metro Act permitting engineering summary request. Approve the permit for Great Lakes ComNet to install a fiber optic network within the city's right-of-way and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign said permit. Staff recommendation, approve the permit and sign the documents. MUFD equipment request, turnout gear, public safety, summary request. The Director of Public Safety requests that the Commission authorize the amount of $19,048.56 for 12 sets of turnout gear for part-time firefighters who have or will be in service by June of 2012. The department recently hired 6 firefighters who are now in fire training. The other 6 will be activated on or before June of 2012. The safety equipment is personalized to each firefighter and will be issued at the time received. The turnout gear per set, $1,587.38, quote, through April 26, 2012, sole source vendor Douglas Safety Systems. Staff recommendation, approval of this purchase request. Veterans Memorial Park Transportation Project, City Manager, summary request to approve funding for a transportation improvement project for Veterans Memorial Park. Staff recommendation, approve funding up to $12,000 for the project and authorize the city to act as the fiduciary for the project. Next, Michigan, interlocal agreement for the West Michigan Economic Development Partnership, Planning Economic Development, summary request. The interlocal agreement for the West Michigan Economic Development Partnership, Muskegon and Kent Counties, has been prepared and reviewed by staff and attorneys for all participating jurisdictions. Approval of the agreement by all entities will allow us to apply for a next Michigan status. The County of Muskegon approved the agreement at their meeting on March 22nd. Staff recommendation to approve the agreement and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign. Aggregates, highway maintenance materials, and concrete public works. Summary request. Award bid to supply H1 and H2 limestone chip blend to Verplank Truck Company. Award bid to supply road slag to Verplank Truck Company. Award bid to supply Silvex patching material to asphalt paving. Award bid for crack sealant to Sherwine Industries. Award bid to supply bituminous asphalt product to asphalt paving. Award bid to supply screen topsoil to Accurate Excavators. Award bid to supply 2NS sand to Jackson Murphy. Award bid to supply 7-sack mixed concrete to Port City Ready Mix. Award supply of calcium chloride 38% road brine and 32% winter salting to Great Lakes Chloride. Staff recommendation, approval of bids as outlined in summary request.
Thank you. Commissioners, you have heard the consent agenda read. Are there any items you'd like to have removed for further discussion? Vice Mayor Gowan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Gowan, supported by Commissioner Griffin to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Mayor Warmington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gowan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Public hearings, item A, please.
(2012-2013) Action Plan, Community Neighborhood Services. Summary request to conduct a public hearing of the 2012-2013 Action Plan for public comments. Staff recommendation to receive comments about the proposed 2012-2013 Action Plan at the Public Commission meeting.
Thank you. Leah?
I was hoping, Mayor, that you would present the hearing, but
Well, I know that you were, Anita, but I don't get the opportunity to have you step up front very often, so I want to take advantage of it.
I'll be back in a couple weeks. How about that?
Well, I look forward to that, too.
Thank you. Well, this year, the City of Muskegon's CDBG grants and home grants are going to remain pretty much unchanged, but there is an action plan, and I don't know if the public that is here or any of the commissioners have any questions about the plan. It is out for public comment right now. It's at our public library. It is in the city clerk's office. It's in our office, so if anyone would like a copy, we can get a copy to you. But you're also welcome to come out on Thursday, which will be held here in the commission chambers Thursday morning, and you can make comments at that time as well. So don't know if you have any questions of me.
Commissioners, any questions of Ms. Bailey? Is there anyone in the audience that would care to address this item? Pardon me?
Yes, we have it.
I was just asking if you had electronically, we could get that.
Absolutely.
Any other?
It's on our website, which is www.shorelincity.com. And if you go to city departments, we are Community and Neighborhood Services, but I think we're listed as Neighborhood Services, and it will say Action Plan. I think when you pull up when I looked at the website, it's right there. It's one of the first things that you'll see. It says Action Plan 2012. So that way, I don't have to print it or email it. You can get it right from the website.
Vice Mayor Gowan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move that we close the public hearing and receive comments about the proposed 2012-2013 action plan at the public commission meeting.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Mayor Gowan, supported by Commissioner Spataro, to close the public hearing and to reflect the comments that were made about the proposed 2012-2013 action plan. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Mayor Warmington?
Yes?
Commissioner Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business, item A.
Revolving loan fund, loan with Great Lakes Diecast City Manager. Summary request to approve a request to discount a revolving loan fund loan with Great Lakes Diecast. A loan of $30,000 was made in 2009 and approximately $16,600 is the current balance. Closing out the loan would allow the company to refinance some current debt and enable the city to receive $10,000 as payment in full for the remaining city loan rather than waiting to receive the remaining payments over time. Staff recommendation to discount the loan to $10,000 as payment in full and authorize city staff to execute necessary documents to close out the loan.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Spataro.
Thank you. I would move that we discount the loan to Great Lakes Diecast to $10,000 as payment in full and authorize city staff to execute the necessary documents to close out the loan.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Spataro, supported by Commissioner Waringo, to approve the revolving loan fund loan with Great Lakes Diecast and to discount the loan as payment in full. Any discussion?
Just
Commissioner Spataro.
one comment. For the folks watching and for people who see this, this is a company that's been in Muskegon in various forms for quite a while. That was really literally at death's door, and we use this revolving loan fund to help them get through a tight patch. And I'm just wondering if we have, any indication of how many jobs that were retained as a result of this, and what kind of tax revenue that they're generating with some ballpark figures.
Can't tell you the number of, or the amount of tax revenue off the top of my head, but I think the number of jobs retained was somewhere in the neighborhood of 60, I believe. And they were able, what occurred with this money, as some of you might remember, is this loan enabled this company to purchase some tooling that they needed to acquire some additional new business for the company, and really to bring back some workers that had been laid off. And so, as Commissioner Spataro said, it allowed them to retain some workers that they otherwise would not have been able to retain.
And I just think it's important. Sometimes people say, government should run like a business. But in this case, this was an investment, I think, that was well worth it, because now this business is coming back. There are people who have jobs who would not have jobs, and the city's getting revenue from taxes that we would not otherwise have received. So I'm very comfortable voting in favor of this measure. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Warmington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item B, please.
Master contract for the Muskegon County wastewater system, city manager, summary request to make determinations relative to the master contract for the Muskegon County wastewater system and the billing overpayment issue. On November 9, 2010, the City Commission took the following action on the proposed master contract for the Muskegon County wastewater system. Now therefore be it resolved that the Muskegon City Commission approves the proposed master contract for the Muskegon County wastewater system contingent upon installation and use of the meters for billing purposes and resolution of the overpayment issues in the city manager's opinion and after notice to the City Commission, and authorizes the mayor and clerk to sign the master contract for the Muskegon County wastewater system after the city manager informs the city commission that the meters have been installed and being used for billing purposes, and a resolution of the overpayment for wastewater services has been reached. The installation of the meters has occurred and the meters are in use. However, in the opinion of the city manager, a resolution of the overpayment issue has not been achieved after more than a year of attempts. Staff recommendation, based on the foregoing, it is recommended that the Muskegon City Commission hereby determines the following. Impasse has been reached in the overpayment for wastewater service issue. The city will not execute the master contract for the Muskegon County wastewater system until the city receives appropriate reimbursement for overpayment for wastewater service. City staff is directed to explore alternate long-term wastewater system options for the city. City staff is directed to convey to Muskegon County the measures the city intends to take.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Gowan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would then move that we direct staff to convey to the Muskegon County the measures as outlined.
Support?
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Gowan, supported by Commissioner Turnquist, to have city staff convey to Muskegon County the measures the city intends to take in the wastewater agreement issue. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gallron?
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Mayor Warmington?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there any other business? I see that we've got a house full tonight, and I know from Cynthia being here last night that she said that she was going to be here to speak for SOS, and I see that Shante is here to speak for Occupy. So those are 10-minute ones. The rest are allowed 3 minutes. We're hoping that perhaps those representing both SOS and Occupy as they speak will be speaking for the majority of the group. We're willing to listen to anyone who wants to speak. However, we hope that we're not going to have to listen to repetition of what's already been said. Prior to getting into that, I hope that you will bear with me as I offer the opportunity to City of Muskegon residents who may be here on some other type of business that would like to speak first and perhaps be on their way. Is there anyone here, resident of the City of Muskegon, that has an issue that they'd like to discuss with the City Commission? Sir, I need for you to... No. No, Paul, just go up there. I need for you to give your name and address, please.
My name is Paul Broussard. My address is 2159 Letarte, Muskegon. I also operate a business here downtown called the 411 Bistro Lounge. I don't really have a concern, but what I wanted to do was address all of you. There's something that I am trying to implement along with some other people that live here in Muskegon. We're really concerned, and there's a lot of us that are concerned with what's going on in the city as far as violence. So this group that I'm working with, we plan on having a concert at the Forenthal Theater, and I'd like nothing more if we could have some type of
Proclamation?
Thank you.
Okay.
Tongue-tied. If the city could offer something like that where we can speak out to a massive audience, which we're going to have. The gentleman that we're bringing into town, his name is Joe. He's a famous R&B singer. And this will be held Mother's Day weekend. And what we're also going to do is save the upper level of the balcony area in the Forenthal for high school students. At that time, it'll be the Muskegon Heights prom. And usually, nights like that, things happen. Unfortunately, you know, kids go out, they drink, they do that. And what we want to do is try to create a safe environment where we can have everyone there and at that time address students about what's going on in the city. And periodically, we would like to have things like this, an ongoing entertainment for them. And it's really important that if we create things like this, things that will excite them, it'll be evening events, they will come out and be a part of what older people are doing also. And, with my hopes that we can, create things like this to just calm things, because the idle mind, when you have an idle mind, bad things happen. And I don't think there's enough going on in the city right now that, we can get kids' attention to just get them away from doing violent things. So that's what my hope is maybe the mayor could come out and just, say some kind words, and we can, maybe get the press to, get the press to maybe say some good things about these kids, because we're going to also incorporate in this show a time for them to show their their talent before this entertainer goes on. And we're also going to have Joe also address the city of Muskegon in some of these commercials about, awareness and stopping violence, because things right now is running rapid. And that's all.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
I'll return your call. Are there any other residents or business owners that would care to address the commission? I see I do have one that I believe is a resident that filled out one of these forms that's on the SAPI cleanup. Mr. Hawk?
Hello, my name is Dylan Hawk. I live at 2019 Harrison Avenue in Lakeside. I'm also a member of Occupy Muskegon, but I'm also a resident, and I'd like to speak as a resident. I'm aware of what SOS and Occupy Muskegon are going to say today, and I'd like to support and second and echo their thoughts. But I just wanted to stress on my own as a resident the importance of cleaning the site. And whereas in the beginning, when I first started coming to these meetings regarding SAPI, it was in regard to the demolition of the smokestack specifically. And I felt that wasn't the best method. It might be the most cost-effective. But since then, I've done a lot of homework. I've dug up every article on it I can think of. I've cross-referenced them, and I've seen a lot of discrepancies over time. And we've seen a lot of discrepancies both from various organizations, even in the environmental DEQ and the EPA, and melching and statements from the city as well. Of course, each article written on it has its own slant as well. And so I think the public has seen an assortment of factual information, and it's hard for the public to know what is true and what is not. Couple that with widespread distrust of government, and you have a lot of people who are suspicious. I'm one of them. And I think we've seen enough examples in this specific case, the SAPI site, where the people have pushed for cleanup and for more information and stating that the land is polluted, and enough statements coming back at us saying, no, everything's fine, trust us. And over time, we have seen that the people pushing has proven that we have garnered enough interest in the subject through our pressure to bring to light that the property is indeed polluted, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that. And that's why we are so pressuring the city. We know this. We don't even need the scientific data. It's obvious. However, of course, the scientific data is relevant and needed to show us to what degree. Anyway, all this is to simply say that I feel that SAPI is accountable for this. I'm not pleased that Melching Inc. took such a poor contract. I think anyone who did was not thinking about the community. They were thinking more about profit, and that's another way that capitalism can be evil and work contrary to community and people. I'm not saying it is entirely, but it can be in the extremes. This is a good example. And so I stress the city to please consider putting pressure on directly SAPI and hoping to get Melching to work with us to that end as well. I don't believe that even though he was willing to take the hook for this, that he should have to. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Could Cynthia go first? Could you call Cynthia first?
Well, I could, but I didn't.
Would you? I'm asking.
Well, now it's almost like it's a game. Cynthia?
Thank you.
Almost sounds like the two groups were plotting here.
Oh, no, never. Cynthia Price, 1357 West Summit in Muskegon.
And where?
In Muskegon, Roosevelt Park.
That's what I thought you said.
I like to say Muskegon because I consider myself a part of the Muskegon community.
Well, we'll be happy to send you a tax bill.
Okay. Well, as you recall, I spoke briefly yesterday on behalf of Muskegon Save Our Shoreline. As many of you may know, we have been convening members of the community who are concerned about the Sappy Melching site, and we have come to a consensus that we would like to ask you to observe a moratorium on making major decisions affecting that site. I have no idea what major decisions might come your way, and I'm aware that some of them may originate at the Planning Commission, and we would ask that those, I'm not exactly sure how to proceed about that, but we would ask that those kinds of decisions be included. We just feel that there needs to be more time for dialogue and discussion before making some of these 100-year decisions, as it's been referred to. And we would like time for, we are going to appear before the Planning Commission on Thursday, and we would like time for the rezoning request to play out. There have been a lot of misconceptions about the group that's been meeting, and I can tell you that there are a lot of divergent, even competing interests in that group, and that's not even including Mr. Melching's input, which we hope to obtain. But as Dylan said, we are certainly interested in seeing a cleanup of the site. And we are also very interested in seeing the site used to generate jobs. But we just would feel that it would be important to look at what kind of jobs and help to ensure that they would be jobs that would stay, that would last. And we think all that requires discussion. And what I envision personally is a public charrette of some nature. And when I was first thinking about this has come up in the group meetings, but it has not really been thoroughly vetted or discussed. But when I was first thinking about this, I thought, well, that's pretty unprecedented. But then I was on the phone last night with my boyfriend talking about this, and he lives in Ann Arbor, and he said, well, that's almost exactly like something that I'm currently participating in. The condominium association that he, for the place he lives, is in discussion with the owner of an abandoned mall. And it really, it's a little less formal than a charrette process, but it definitely indicates that it can be done, and also that it is in the best interests of the property owner, because now, that property owner can count on the buy-in of the community as he moves forward. So anyway, we hope that you will give the moratorium idea some consideration, and we also would offer to meet with the staff or anyone else who to discuss it further. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ready? Shanti?
A little nervous, but Shanti Devi.
You've been here before.
I know. Something about, because I paid you a piece of paper about it, that's made me nervous.
Here.
Shanti Devi, 4380 Hackley Point Lane, Norton Shores, Michigan. However, I did live on Denmark Street in Lakeside as I was growing up. Stinky, stinky, stinky. And we certainly don't want to put any more stinky out there. That's my feeling. Muskegon really took the time to develop a master plan, and I was so impressed at the Planning Commission meeting when he asked for aggregate storage, at all the people who come out and spoke, and the eloquence of our city planners about this 100-year decision. And I felt quite encouraged and inspired by that meeting. And it's made me come back time and time again to talk to you guys. So I don't know why the site did not get rezoned like is in the master plan. I suspect it was because you were hoping to have a big industry come in and give us a lot of jobs. And although that would have been good, you know, it didn't happen. And I think that the kind of jobs that have been proposed for the site so far have not been things that will bring many jobs, and many of them were not very clean or sustainable jobs. And I think, you know, I've always said that Muskegon, when I left Muskegon in the 70s, it was viewed not only here but nationwide as a very innovative place. We had done the mall, and that was written up in magazines all over. We did the wastewater plant, and that was written up all over the world. So I know we have the creativity and the you know, the minds here to come up with solutions as we go forward. You know, there was an article recently, Jim Edmondson said the site as it stands now is an imminent threat to the neighborhood and the lake. No master plan can be developed without investigation of the subsoils. You don't do master plans for 5 to 10 years, but for 50 to 100. And for that, you need to know what's in the subsoil and where it is migrating. So I really would like to see a deep, thorough cleaning of this, and I support the moratorium idea on, not on the demolition, but on development right now, so that we have the time to really look at it as a community with the business leaders, Melching, our city leaders. I'm wanting us to, you know, embrace the future. The paper mill was on the lake because the logs came down the river. And businesses for centuries put all their waste into the river. Well, we can't do that anymore. It's not acceptable, yet it's still being done in some places. But I think we're at a turning point where we have to really examine what kind of future we want. On an environmental scale globally, there are now scientists that are saying that we're very close to a tipping point where we can't recover from the damage that we're doing. And I think everything, Occupy is about from the bottom up. And so, we want to work together with the people in our community and our community leaders and create a better world doesn't just serve the moneyed interests, but serves the whole community and keeps us safe and clean and non-polluting. So I'd like to see a little more transparency happen around this, and for us to be, maybe some public hearings about it. But waterfronts are such a valuable commodity, not for industry anymore, but for recreation, for residents, for condos, I saw a beautiful article by Steve Frazee about this paper mill site where he talked about once the cleanup is done, using some of those big tanks for shrimp farms, for local, sustainable, organic shrimp that could be sold here at a reasonable price because it's right here. Mushroom farms could be here. Myers buys millions of dollars of mushrooms over the years, and they're buying them from out of state. Why can't they be here? So, industry doesn't have to be something that, that hurts us. It can feed us and nurture us and give us jobs. And so that's what I'd like to see there. And this group that's been meeting, many of us want to have industry there, but we want to feel safe that in the future, someone's not going to come and get a special permit, and because it's I-1 industrial, they'll get a special use permit to put I-2 industrial. So, there's part of the group that only wants to see waterfront marine and more commercial things, no industry down there. I think it's big and can support a lot of different things. I'd like to see like a vision of, once it's cleaned up, of businesses and recreation as residents all mixed together, all put together beautifully so it flows together and enhances the natural beauty of the area. I know this is a big project, and I know that it's owned by Melching, but he does not have to suffer or have his rights violated. We can work together with him and, try to move it forward into a way that everybody can benefit, and we don't have to have such an eyesore and such a pit of pollution over there. So he could be a hero to Muskegon, by doing what's the right thing to do in this situation. He has a perfect spot to create a pure Michigan blue economy with clean, green, sustainable commerce, residents, industry, and recreation all mixed together. It's been done, and it can be done here. I'd like us to really, in the future, right now, he has plenty of work to do to keep moving forward with demolition. And DEQ has said it's going to take years, not months, to clean it up. And that's just to industrial standards. So, we have the time to really think about this as a community. And, if he doesn't want to go in that direction there, we'll find ways that we can do it developers often find a way to get things done, a way to use the law to get things done. And I think that we can find that too. I think there's going to be creative solutions as we go along that are going to come up if we all put our heads together. So as we wait for the tear down of the old polluted buildings and the DEQ's predicted years of cleanup, it'll give us time to work together with Melching as a community, envisioning a vibrant, clean, revitalized site designed for human access that fit with the neighbors, that provide many green jobs, that leaving space for residents to wander around the shoreline, excited by the beauty of the development and of the nature. If there is a will, there is a way. So I ask you to join with us and have a will to do this. Okay.
Thank you, Shanti. I would encourage the two groups to continue to meet and move forward. I think a lot of the things that you said, both of you said, are already happening. You're asking for transparency in public hearings. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on a request that they had. Public, as you acknowledged, the Planning Commission turned down the aggregates to be on that process. I think the process is working. I think we're just also concerned about what's going to end up, what's already there. I think from the article that we read in the Muskegon Chronicle, the DEQ from the state is on top of things that are over there. They're working with SAPI. They've said, at least publicly said in the paper, that Melching and SAPI and the DEQ are working in harmony to try to go on that site. So I think a lot of the things that we as a community are concerned about are beginning to happen. I caution us that we move too quickly to do some things that need to be done. I think we have to keep our eye on the ball. But for instance, say that we didn't hold a public hearing, or if we changed the zoning to the marine zoning, the aggregate would have been allowed on that as it was. So we really, there's a thought process that goes through here. The city is attempting to work with Mr. Melching. He's given us no indication at this point in time that he has anything in harms. I'll grant you, there's a couple of projects he put on there that I don't believe most of the commission would like to see happen. But I don't want to, we'd hate to see it where we get to a point where we force someone to do something we don't want to happen, which according to what we're hearing, legally they could do right now. So I think the process is to continue to try to work with the property owner, to work with the DEQ, to work with SOS, to work with Occupy, all of us working together, as you're saying, to try to work this out. I think we're already headed in that direction. I continue to have some conversations with Mr. Melching. We will be meeting again. He's open-minded to do it, but I think probably, and I don't mean to speak for him because he hasn't said this to me, but I think when he reached out to go to have some discussions with the neighborhoods, and then more than just the neighborhood showed up to express their opinions, I think he got sort of a little back off just to what he was getting into. But I continue to say I think he means well for the community. Let's stop and go back here a little bit. In March of 2009 is when SAPI was mothballed. In August of 2009, it was closed. So that was 3 years ago that it was mothballed. They made the announcement in August that it was closed. A year went by. We're into 2010. They announced at that point in time that they were putting the property up for sale in 2009. A year goes by in 2010, no activity had happened there. I don't know if you recall, but you remember they were heating the building because the building wasn't heated because all the equipment kept it heated. So they put quite a bit of expense. Mark Evans, who worked there for years and he understands, put quite a bit of expense into making sure that building was heated and didn't suffer any damage for a prospective buyer. The thought at that time was it was a possibility that perhaps somebody might be interested in continuing a paper mill. There was also the talk about the new green energy that was going to be happening, and blue energy and windmills, and what a great location it would be for a windmill factory, or for us to be able to ship windmills from. So as a community, we apparently, all of us thought, let's hold on. Unemployment was as high as it is now, was much higher in Muskegon than it was then at that point in time. So we're all holding on to hoping that we were going to get some good green jobs to come to our community. Didn't make a lot of sense to do any rezoning at that point in time. There wasn't anybody from the community up until after the first of this year, when Mr. Melching said that he'd go to the neighborhoods, that started to come out and start to talk about what's there environmentally. And let's do some changes after he sort of gave us a preliminary map that showed aggregate and then showed a recycling thing, which are two items on our waterfront that we do not want to see. And I think he's aware of that. So I want to say that continue to do your work. Let us continue to be a part of it. We understand what you're saying. I think we feel the same way, and I think the Planning Commission and the City Commission has operated in that fashion up to this point in time. So continue the good work. I think Mr. Melching, I think SAPI, and most importantly, I think the DEQ is listening to the community because they've begun to take an active role, and I think they're our biggest partner in this project as we try to move that forward. So, thank you. Mr. Mills?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my name's Dan Mills, and I live at 1817 Mills Avenue, actually, in North Muskegon. And thanks to everybody for coming out tonight, including you. And thanks for letting me speak. I have one point I'd like to make, but you just brought up another one. When Melching met the community, when Melching met the community, actually it wasn't so helpful. He came out there and did pretty much what you did. He expounded on his opinions and his game plan, but when it came time to answer questions...
Similar to what you're doing right now?
I have a question I've been asking, and please don't interrupt me. I haven't interrupted you yet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, he elaborated again, like I was saying, on his plans and his game plans and his ball plan. All right, but he didn't answer any of the questions. Like, for instance, I remember specifically, is this thing on a water, or is it on a floodplain? I don't know, you know. What kind of permits do you have to have before you blow up a smokestack? I don't know. Those were his answers, and that wasn't very helpful to the community, and so I wasn't too impressed by his meet the community thing. It looked to me like another one of those charades where you're pretending to actually do some service when you're really not. Now, anyway, the community didn't really show up until late in the game. That's because the community didn't know what was going on. And as soon as they found out, they were very interested. And so I just wanted to correct that. Now, anyway, I want to correct a couple other things. I've been asking for information since day one on this. Now, I was pounding all around the county, terraces over there, premises. And people were directing me then over here, maybe the city, they make decisions on stuff, they probably have some documents. So I made my request there, and I finally ended up down here filling out a Freedom of Information request. And after the prescribed 2 weeks, I got this estimate in the mail, $300. It's going to cost me, but, I make an estimate in business. I specify what that estimate is covering. Nothing here, just $300 estimate, $150 up front. I brought my checkbook tonight. I also brought something, too. There was a remark made last night when I was here that I'm not a city resident. I'm just like my friend over here was saying she always considers herself a city resident. He said something about sending a tax bill. Well, I paid taxes. Now, I moved away from the city of Muskegon. I've been living here for 50 years in Muskegon, paying taxes, living here. It's my city. Okay, I moved out to North Muskegon here 8 years ago, but I still feel like it's my city, and I never stopped paying city taxes. And so I brought my forms. I don't want you to take my word for that. It's right here. My W-2s are here. I continue to pay city taxes, and so I still consider myself a city resident. Thank you. And I still think that copy machine is our copy machine, not yours. I think that people who staff that office are there for us. They're our staff, not yours. And when we ask for information, I think it should be freely available, not $300, and I don't know where I'm going to go. But last night I talked to Mr. Spataro. I told him I'm taking you up on it. If it costs me $300 to get nothing, I'll do it. I'll write a check right now if you like. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would care to address the commission? Commissioner Hood?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.